It's Arcade Couch, but at E3, you just watch the show. Now what?
2
morons, maybe 4. Talk about the conference afterwards, oh yeah.
Welcome to Arcade Couch's bonus episode, our Square Enix post-show discussion of their, well, originally I was going to say presentation, but they did an actual conference, which was quite surprising, of course. So, my name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hello.
Get hyped?
Get hyped. Shout out to Poland.
Shout out to Poland. Gonna have so many in-jokes coming from this conference for the rest of the thing now. So Square Enix, obviously last year, they did a presentation, a pre-recorded presentation thing at 3 a.m. I think it was, or roughly, or 4 a.m. It was some ridiculous time for us, right? So I remember we woke up and watched it, and it was a complete waste of time pretty much. They announced a couple new IPs there, none of which was actually shown during this show. And then they announced a bunch of other things like The Quiet Man, and we know how that turned out and whatever. So it was pretty terrible. It was half hour, and it wasn't very good. This year, I suppose. This year, they did, to much surprise, a full-on, what was it? It would have been like 90 minutes nearly, surely. Do you reckon, roughly?
Yeah, 80 minutes.
Yeah,
something like that.
So at least over an hour, but a proper conference type thing. Although in theater, yeah. Although
at a reasonable hour.
Although it's worth also pointing out that they are like Bethesda, and one of the reasons I like this one, I did enjoy this one, was it was broken up nicely. I thought you could complain that obviously the translation does slow down the overall run, and it would be a lot faster if we didn't have to go through that. But that can't be helped. Obviously, it's just what you have, how it works. You can't really complain about that, even though you obviously feel it when it's like you have to wait. But overall, what do you think of Square Enix's their first proper conference too? Not like last year's presentation.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. It was constantly moving pretty much, except there was probably only the 3 games they talked about through the conference, and everything else was just trailers, just pushing through. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff that I feel is probably not going to interest a lot of people, so they're going to get marked down for it. But I thought it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, like flicking through what was shown, like my notes on my phone, I'm like, a lot of people probably watch this solely for Avengers, and they're going to mark it down heavily because we'll talk about Avengers when we get to it last, obviously. But I think a lot of people will mark this down a lot because they didn't show as much Avengers as people may have hoped. So because of that, people will just mark down, I sat through all that, a waste of time for nothing, not enough Avengers type thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you just wanted Avengers, you could have waited until after the conference.
Yeah, waited and seen.
And they would have just shown you all the footage.
Yeah. But flicking through what was shown, I do feel like, even though not all of it was for me, obviously, there's like stuff here like Final Fantasy Online, a couple JRPGs I don't care about, and whatever else that I don't particularly care about. But at the same time, I do feel like they, given what they've got between online, 7 coming up, Avengers, a new IP announced, one mobile game, some DLC stuff for Kingdom Hearts, Square Enix Collective, like Hyperreal and stuff that they showed as well. They're publishing Dying Light. They made time for that. Like, it's a really messy mix of assortment of stuff, really, but it's all under the Square Enix umbrella. And I feel like the times they had people come out and talk were never felt wasted. I felt like they were times I actually wanted people to come out and talk. Well, apart from the online thing, but I feel like that was necessary because that game is pretty huge, and for the audience, they would want that person to come out and talk about that game. So I'm okay with that happening. But yeah, overall, I quite liked it. I'm honestly shocked, given how bad last year's presentation thing they edited together was, that this is as good as it was. I expected it to be somewhat of a train wreck, if I'm being completely honest. just given Square Enix, you're like, Square Enix doing a presentation. As soon as we saw that was going to be on an actual stage before the thing kicked off, I was like, oh god, they're going to have people come out talking. Oh god, this is going to go forever. I was getting flashbacks of like Konami from the early E3 days, but it wasn't that. So honestly, maybe one of the best. I think I'd actually put this up there second favorite, to be honest, so far. I'm going to go Xbox, this, Ubisoft, Bethesda so far, for me personally. Where do you reckon you're sitting at?
At least in the top 3.
This in the top 3? Yeah, okay. I'll give you away with it. All right, so let's run through some of the stuff that was shown. So obviously they opened the show with Final Fantasy VII Remake gameplay. They show they had people come out and they talk about stuff, and they brought Nomura out and so on and so forth. But then they show gameplay. They had someone, I can't remember his exact job, but they had someone talk over the gameplay and explain how it all works. I felt that was a little bit unnecessary, but at the same time, for the people who there were subtle things like that. Cloud would use a move and you'd hear people cheer and stuff. He would go into whatever, like it was working for the audience. And there's going to be a select group of people who maybe preferred the really in-depth explanation of the combat. I don't personally need a really in-depth explanation of the combat, but it didn't feel boring is the thing. I was worried it would feel boring when they started doing it, but it was fine. They're explaining how it all works together. And from what we see and how they explained it, it's a meld of like Kingdom Hearts combat with a more tactical mode where you can activate it and everything. They said slows down, but we can all agree, come on, it just freezes time around you.
Yep.
It stops time, and then you can make combat moves.
Tactical choices,
yeah. But other than that, it just seems like Kingdom Hearts type thing. You can press like
you can
L1
switch
or
characters.
Whatever. Other than that, you can switch characters. That's a new thing.
That's new for that.
That's not Kingdom Hearts.
It's like Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So, as someone, I suppose, and then they showed extended version of the trailer after that, which they showed at the Final Fantasy orchestra thing that happened last night or the night before, whenever it was, and they showed half the same trailer there. They showed extended version of that trailer. It was really cool, really great, hype for the game. I honestly, every time I see something for this, I try and keep my expectations in check, because I remember when they announced it, I pretty much was nearly crying, along with like half the world, I presume. But it was like one of those announcements of like, oh God, it's happening. Because remember when they announced it, the music just kicks in, and I'm like, it's like, dun, dun, dun. I'm like, oh my God, like it's happening. And ever since then, I was trying to keep my hype in check, especially because I thought this game was going to come out in like 2050 or some ridiculous stage. But I'm liking what I'm seeing as someone who's played the original. They're making some changes, which I'm okay with. Some other changes I'm like, like they're adding scenes, and I feel like anytime you're going to add something to a property that people already like, that's going to be like, okay, well, we're going into uncharted waters here when you start adding scenes. But you haven't. Well, you've played some of it, haven't you? Like, how much have you of the original?
A little bit, like an hour.
Okay, yes,
maybe.
Not very much.
Not much.
What do you think? How are your opinions on it then?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it definitely looks like looks like Kingdom Hearts, except obviously with the Final Fantasy thing thrown on top. The pausing, I think, will be great. If you could have paused stuff during Kingdom Hearts, that would have made that much easier. So I don't know how much easier it's going to be. But yeah, it definitely looks like the game. Obviously, they've got some weird battle enemies. Look like some sort of train dude. Mm-hmm. And they got the scorpion thing. That fight went on for ages. I don't know how tedious it's going to be after a while, though.
The boss fight, or
the boss fight? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a boss fight, so
it is a boss fight, but
I don't think normal fights are like that. And that's what I was saying. Like that is the first boss fight in the game where you fight this giant mechanical spider type thing that comes down at the generator when you're planting a bomb. And obviously, in the original game, it's just a very atypical fight. Things happen, you fight. It's actually really easy if you just spend 10-15 minutes prior to the boss fight, if you know where the boss fight takes place, and you just level up a couple levels and you go in and smash it. In the remake, they've added different things you need to attack, weak spots, getting behind cover. So it seems like boss fights in this game, because it's a third person, like more action game, that they're going to have, what would you call it? Like phases throughout the boss fight, like a typical action game where they'll do different attacks and you have to block things out and so on and so forth. They showed more gameplay and stuff we haven't seen before, because most of what we're seeing prior to this, and mostly what we even saw today, was the first hour of the game, which opens with you performing an eco-terrorist attack, basically, as Cloud, when he teams up for this group run by Barrett and so on and so forth. Then we got to see more stuff today with Tifa and stuff, which everyone cheered for, which was quite funny.
Yep.
Everyone loves Tifa, apparently.
She punches.
Well, I don't think that's why people are cheering. Tifa, I think, is one of the... Tifa, I think, is... I would, you know how like people like to say that Lara Croft is like one of the oldest kind of female things that old gamer dudes like, you know, were like, oh, she's hot. Yeah. I would say Tifa is ahead of earlier than, you know, Lara Croft. And I think that's exactly what the cheering and hollering is for. Because she too had unrealistic proportions.
Leg and all.
In the original game. It's how I'd put it. So yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for Final Fantasy VII. It's coming out. Oh shit. I forgot to write it down. What's that? May. No, March.
3rd of 3rd.
March. 3rd of 3rd.
3rd of March.
3rd of March next year. So
Or 3/03/2020.
And because we're doing this straight after, I need to double check some stuff afterwards. But they never actually said part 1 in the whole thing.
No, they didn't.
Which is super confusing because in that blog post they put up a month ago, whenever it was, they did say that the game will still be episodic. So now I'm like, what? And they also mentioned that they were like, oh, the game's so big it's going to be on 2 Blu-ray discs.
Yeah.
What? It's part 1 on 2 Blu-ray
But they
discs?
also said Midgard, so whether this game is just the Midgard section?
That would be really weird. I don't know how any of this works. I'm going to be looking for clarification following this, and whether that's on a blog post or hopefully someone gets like from an outlet,
A journalist?
a journalist asks these questions, which if they're doing their job, they fucking will, you know. So let's hopefully someone will ask the questions that we want answers to, because I don't really have anyone that can answer me for them, but it's definitely something that's worth wondering about. Yeah, do you reckon you're keen though? Like everything?
Yeah, I'm keen to check it out.
Everything you see, you're like, yeah, I'll play this. Like I'm looking.
Yeah,
forward
I'll play
to
this
because you like Kingdom Hearts, right? When you
I like Kingdom Hearts
and similar gameplay
combat.
that we're seeing. So like,
yeah, then I can understand the story that everybody's talking about.
Yeah,
it all makes sense.
Yes,
hopefully, unless they change everything.
No, it makes sense. I don't think the story's not Kingdom Hearts. It's not very convoluted. There's some elements you could say are. Obviously, it's
self-contained.
It's fantastical, but at least it's self-contained. Yeah, all the characters you're learning about, you'll know and stuff like that. And just quickly, I'll make note of this on this thing as well. I do think, and was discussing this on Arcade Couch or Platinum Explosion or something like that, I can't remember. I do think, and I made sure not to mention anything when I was watching the trailer and doing our reacts, and I'm not going to mention anything going forward. I do think because the game is coming out as a remake, that saying anything that's a spoiler is no-nos. I'm saying that's bad. Like, I'm making an official ruling. I understand, like, before it was announced as a remake, that you could clearly openly talk about story elements for the game. But I do think since a lot of people are going to be playing this for the first time, that openly spoiling big story beats is
a bit of a dick move.
Bit of a dick move, I think, considering it's, so that's my general ruling on that.
You can survive 9 months without saying these things.
Because there are things I could say, like, given you're like, oh, the game's going to finish at Midgard, 2 discs, all this stuff, that leads me to go, oh, is it the game going to end at this story beat? This, so there's obviously stuff, but I'm just going to say let's not talk about it, I guess. So next thing they showed was Life is Strange 2 trailer. That was basically, it didn't announce anything new. It was just hyping up the game and saying, hey, it's a game that exists in case you forgot. It's got 3 episodes out now. It's finishing up in December, I think, is when the last episode comes out. It's got 2 episodes to go. The trailer was incorporated a bunch of streamers from their streams playing it, like Jacksepticeye and a bunch of people I don't know. Jacksepticeye is the only one I recognized. How's it going or whatever he does, I don't know. YouTubers, you know. What are we doing? How's it going? They didn't have any shitty streamers on there. That's good, like Dr. Disrespect. So, because he's a bad person. Next thing that they announced was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is coming to phone as well, which is something I don't think they had announced before, at least as far as I'm aware. So, but Crystal Chronicles had been announced like a year ago or something like that. It's a GameCube game that they're bringing over with like online multiplayer and stuff like that. Back in the day, to play it, you would have had to buy an adapter to plug in 4 different controllers to your GameCube. So it was quite an expensive affair to have. They then showed a trailer for Octopath Traveler. It's now on PC. Nothing new, just the game came out on PC at the start of the week. In case you didn't know, here's a trailer for it. It's now on PC. Cool.
Yep.
They then showed a trailer for The Last Remnant Remastered, which I feel like maybe slightly was announced before, but I don't know if it had a release date. And if it didn't, which I don't think it did, then they did a shadow drop because they were like, The Last Remnant Remastered, available now, tonight, Switch. There you go, boom. Go for it. Cool. It's a JRPG that people like, so I'm sure a lot of people would be excited. Did a lengthy, I don't know what you would call it, a lengthy walkthrough commentary video for Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yep.
I don't know what you'd call that.
It was a introduction to, I don't know. If there was a lot of talking, it was like a guided video.
Yeah. And you could say it was a bit too long, but
it was very long.
It was long, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, like, I understand the first game did really well. Maybe they feel like they want to explain all the features. I don't understand how
just felt like they were selling it very hard.
Yeah. I don't understand how many of the features in that are new compared to the original because I didn't play it though. So I don't understand what if we was watching was dramatically different and new and exciting is the thing. So don't know.
I think the scale is
huge.
Bigger.
It looks
considering I think the last one was on Vita, so put that in perspective.
Yeah, I'd have no interest. But if I did, there's a demo coming out June 27th on PlayStation if you'd like to check out a demo. Dragon Quest XI Definitive Edition S. I assume the S is for Switch because
for special.
Special maybe. So this got announced. Well, they talked about this like 6 months ago during a direct or something, I think, at the start of the year as well. And now we have more information on it, and it's come. Actually, did they put a release date? And I forgot to write it down. I honestly can't remember. Maybe I forgot to write it down. But they showed a trailer for that. They showed off the mode that they announced for Switch because this game came out it came out last year on PS4, and that was it, I think. Just PS4. And now for the Switch version, they've added this whole thing where you can switch between the really beautiful looking, like third person version of the game and switch it to a top down, like old school throwback version of the game. It's interesting, I suppose. I find it interesting. I'd like to meet someone who purposely switches the modes and just plays the entire game in the old school throwback mode compared to the third person one, considering I think that looks a lot prettier. But it's a thing. Did you find an answer if it had a release date?
It said fall.
Oh yeah, that's probably why I didn't write down anything anyway. Then.
So spring.
Then they showed a Square Enix Collective hype reel. Square Enix Collective is this like arm of Square Enix that has been publishing these indie games and stuff throughout the last couple of years that a lot of people don't know about, to be honest. So I do feel like the hype reel for that and bringing attention to that part that they're doing is somewhat needed, I guess. Then they announced a game called Circuit Superstars, which is coming in 2020, which is a RC racer, it looked like to me. But not an RC racer. It's a hardcore racing game, apparently. I don't really know. Didn't really interest me. And then they did a Battalion 1942 hype reel, which is 100% a Nick game. And I'm 99.9% sure I've already seen him playing it because it came out early in the week. So wouldn't surprise me there. Then they did a Square Enix music trailer. Cool. It announced nothing. The Square Enix, the collection of Square Enix music released on Spotify and other services at the start of the week. It came out of nowhere, and a lot of people were publishing stories and be like, hey, in case you didn't know, this randomly just dropped. I don't know if it dropped ahead of schedule or something, because this trailer was like, hey, it's available now, which would have been a lot more exciting and cool if all the music hadn't already dropped on Spotify at the start of the week or end of last week or whenever it was. So it was like, yeah, I'm aware. I was listening to it at work the other day. I know that it's out. But sure, if you didn't know, now you know. They then showed the trailer for the Kingdom Hearts DLC Remind, which is coming out at the end of the year.
Yep.
It's the exact same trailer that was released during the Kingdom Hearts concert a night or two ago, so it wasn't super exciting. They didn't explain any more details about what it is or anything.
Nope.
I'll play it.
Yeah.
And that's about all I've got to say to that thing. Well, I mean, there were slight
hints at possibly what could have been.
I think, well,
not really. They
Zigbar?
Zigbar, sort of explaining his story and why he did the thing he did at the end.
Yeah.
It's interesting they use so much footage from the end of the game, like the fighting footage.
Yeah. Well, from what I gathered, I don't know, like, I presume a lot of the footage, this DLC will take place and give you looks at Zigbar prior to the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. Possibly it gives you stuff post Kingdom Hearts 3 and tells you what Zigbar does at the end of that game, because what he does at the end of that game, I'm trying not to do like huge spoilers, but like what his character does at the end of that game is sets up Kingdom Hearts 4, basically. Is like where that game would go. So how much this will delve into it, I don't really know. They didn't really explain anything. They haven't done voiceover yet, apparently, because they've just got or at least not English voice acting.
English.
So pretty boring trailer unless you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, I think so. They then did a huge Final Fantasy Online Shadowbringers DLC segment. Someone came out and talked about it. Very lengthy trailer for that. Neither of us were particularly interested because neither of us play the game. But, not everything in these presentations, conferences, whatever, has to be for everyone. That's okay. And I think given that you could hear the crowd cheering at certain character reveals or stuff that was said, it was obviously cool to those that care. So good for them, And that's about all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, same.
It definitely doesn't make you. It doesn't make me want to try the game any more than I already did. It's just for those that care. Here's DLC. It's a thing. They then had Dying Light 2 gameplay trailer because Dying Light is being published in America by Square Enix. So that's if you weren't expecting that, and you're like, why is Dying Light here? That's why. It's interesting that Xbox had the the cinematic trailer shown during their conference, and they got a gameplay trailer here.
I guess technically,
it didn't show
bits of gameplay.
It didn't show us anything we hadn't really seen before. It was just like, it's a game. It's coming out at the end.
Guess what?
You
can do parkour.
Whatever, so, yeah, cool. Dying Light. Saga Scarlet Grace was then shown, or something along those lines, and it said it's coming to Vita.
There was a bunch of Saga stuff.
Yeah, it's like 2 JRPGs I've never heard of that have never released in the West and now coming to the West, and they're also coming to the Vita. So was E3 2019 the year the Vita died? No, because a game got announced for it.
Yep, I guess we'll just dig up the corpse.
Yeah. Then you got a mobile game announced. Well, and yeah, I don't know. It was very confusing.
Yes.
There's Final Fantasy Brave Exodus or something like that.
Yes.
And then it's getting a sequel or something like that that's releasing in the West when the old one was released just in Japan or something like that. And this one's called Final Fantasy Brave or something.
No, something of the line or something?
Something of the Lionheart or something like that. I don't really know. They didn't show any much of it. When I was watching it, you said it sounds a lot like...
it sounds a lot like Fire Emblem and looks a lot like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but they didn't.
It looks like it'll be like a tactics sort of
some sort of thing.
Gameplay, but it's only on smartphones. So, I mean, I'll check it out. I suspect it will be free, maybe, hopefully.
Probably, and full of heaps of microtransactions.
Full of transactions, yeah.
Then the really cool thing and a hot point for my predictions was People Can Fly's new IP Outriders was revealed for a summer 2020 release date, and they had a bit of a dev diary type thing where they were talking about it and what the game is, someone explaining it. So it seems like it's going to be a third-person action shooter where you will be able to play in co-op with, I presume, up to 2 friends because they show 3 characters during the stuff, and you're facing off against monsters of some sort, and there's a giant gate, and at one stage in the trailer you see a giant thing that looks like it's out of War of the Worlds or something like that. So I'm intrigued. I liked what I saw. Obviously, gameplay would have been nice, but it's the first reveal, so I give it a pass for now. New IP though, cool. We're considering we're not getting that much new IP or stuff
at this point
from the E3 in general this year. We had a couple of things, obviously Bethesda and Ubisoft had one thing that wasn't super.
Well, they technically revealed a few things. It was just that stuff got leaked beforehand.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I'm happy. They make shooters. They make good shooties. So make more good shooties. The
main character reminded me of Furiosa.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Mad Max game incoming. Spin-off, sequel.
Oh, we wish.
Then they did... what was it called? Oninaki?
Oninaki?
Naki? Whatever
Oninaki.
It was. How would you describe this? Like a top-down action game, I guess? Like RPG elements, I suppose, or something like that. You looked it up. It was announced...
It's hard to tell. It was announced at a direct back in February.
It was probably in the same track where they first showed off that Dragon Quest stuff, I presume.
Probably.
So,
it was a while ago.
Coming to PS4, Switch, August 2020. So still a while away, but
so still
it's a game.
Ages away.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a game that would be fun on my Switch, but nothing that was shown was super exciting.
No.
But it was all right. Then we got Final Fantasy VIII Remastered coming to 2019 to 2 old consoles. And Stadia as well, I believe is what it was. So this is really cool. I think this is exciting. because Final Fantasy VIII, I think, is... And people argue that Final Fantasy VII doesn't hold up that well. I think Final Fantasy VII gets away with it because it's all the little triangle-shaped characters and whatever, from PS2 days, the polygons or whatever. It looks like a PS1 game, but they're all funny shapes and they've got funny-looking arms and whatever else. Final Fantasy VIII has a completely different art style where they were trying to make it a lot more realistic looking, and the human characters were supposed to be a lot more realistic looking and stuff. And because of that, it suffers a lot as time went on, to the point that I think it looks a lot worse than Final Fantasy VII, even though it came out after it, because it went for a lot more realistic approach. The characters' faces in the game are messes, and it's absolutely horrible. So, and I think it makes it a struggle to play the game and take it serious at times. So this fixes all of those problems. It's just a remaster. It's not a remake like Final Fantasy VII, but it means that the characters' faces will no longer be haunting messes of confusion, and that's good. So hopefully they release this one and then they do Final Fantasy IX, because I think Final Fantasy IX is a lot better than this. But this is cool. I'll buy it. Probably won't finish it again, but I'll buy it. It's a thing that exists, and a lot of people will be happy, of course, because people like Final Fantasy. And then the big one, the one that most people were watching the conference for, Marvel's Avengers. Now, we all thought it was going to be called Avengers Assemble, but the official name is just Marvel's Avengers. So much like it was Marvel's Spider-Man for Spider-Man last year.
Yeah.
So we got a whole bunch of things. We got a trailer that opened the thing that shows you the introduction to the game and the Crystal Dynamics' version of the Avengers team. We got told it's a single player and co-op experience. It's going to have 4-player online, which is weird.
Did they confirm single player? Yeah. They would have.
They said single player and online, I think. Well, that's what I wrote down. Yeah. Maybe not. That would be weird if it wasn't single player. 4-player online co-op is what was said, which I find weird because there's 5. Avengers, but nonetheless. Every new superhero that will be added into the game and every new region, they said, will be free. So it seems like it's going to be a games of service type thing, which fits the rumored stuff that was talked about for ages, where they were saying it's going to be like Destiny.
If it's free, that's a bit interesting choice.
Well, see, then
I have theories about that as well. We'll get to it.
They also said there'll be no random loot boxes or pay-to-win situations. They mentioned nothing about skins or any of that sort of stuff, which is, I think, is where the microtransaction stuff will come in. But compared to Mr. Randy Pitchford, they used the right language, because they said there'll be no random loot boxes.
Yes.
No pay-to-win stuff. That does not mean that they said there'll be no
paid DLC. No
DLC or microtransactions, full stop. If you say they said no loot boxes, there's a big difference. So it's coming to PC, PS4, Xbox, and Stadia. And they've partnered with PS4 for an exclusive early beta, which will come at some date, and other stuff they said. And then they ended up with a video teasing that Hank Pym's going to be in the game. May 15th, 2020, and then they also did a cast interview video which introduced us to the cast, which is Troy Baker, Nolan North, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, and a new person. I still have it open here. Jeff Sheen is the
Jeff Sheen
who's playing Captain America.
Poor guy. Well,
you're probably more hyped.
Not poor, but
yours probably more hyped for this than I was. So if you want to,
I was definitely keen for it. I feel like it's interesting. I don't think it looks incredible. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I had a quick look over Twitter and that sort of thing, and people are pumped for it. But I think David Milner said the costumes are not super iconic. They're just sort of,
they look very bland to me.
They're bland.
I think the whole thing looked pretty.
Which
bland.
is why I suspect that there's going to be skins that we're going to be able to buy and switch them up. And it doesn't look the prettiest, I guess. But the realistic style they're going for is what it's doing. Yeah, the designs aren't great. But I'm keen to see this. Clearly, they've got an idea of what the story is going to be, and they've got this disassembled sort of storyline. Interesting that this too has a 5-year gap between things. Interesting tie-in. And yeah, it sounds like they're going to have this core campaign for this first bit, and then they'll have probably smaller campaigns afterwards to keep the game alive and introduce new characters. And whether you can bring in those characters into the original campaign or not, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting at the very least, and it'll be interesting to see how it all works together. whether you have like 4 people going all at once, or if it's just one person at a time, one player.
Then you're by yourself and you don't have AI teammates. Or?
Yeah, well, I guess you'd have AI teammates, but
assume so. Answer me this. My biggest question for this thing, and one annoying thing, is we didn't get gameplay.
No.
I honestly don't know what this game is.
Do you think that stuff on the bridge was gameplay?
It looked like it could have been a mix of gameplay, but there was definitely no HUD or anything like that. Or like it could have been representative of what gameplay potentially would be, but I don't think it was actual gameplay. Like I wouldn't believe that. So I don't understand what the game is. Do you think you understand what this game is? Would you say
overly? I think it's like just a action adventure game, just with superheroes. It'll be like Marvel. It'll be like Spider-Man, except more like Uncharted. You know, like corridor set levels that you have to work your way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than an open world San Francisco.
See,
or more like Lego Marvel superheroes. That's
I'm very confused because they're talking about the game at some points like it is some, and there were all those rumors and stuff saying it would be like a Destiny like games of service type thing.
Probably like that too,
which is a potential. But then I don't understand how that like. Let me break it down. Here's what I'm struggling with. You got 5 and more growing characters that you'll be able to choose to play as. So if I choose to play as Iron Man, and you want to play as Iron Man.
We can't.
You can't. If I choose to play as...
It's like Apex Legends or Overwatch.
If I choose to play as Iron Man and I do a level, am I getting different cutscenes than if I bring in a different character to that level? If you can only play as 4 characters max, if you have full 4-player co-op, then you are missing characters from that scene. And then if you replay it later with that other different characters, how's that work?
Maybe the other character's just AI.
I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I think after all the hype and the build up to this game, because we've known about it for years, right?
Yeah.
We thought it was going to get revealed last year. It didn't. I think the year before that, some people were like, maybe, and it didn't. Last year was really the year that everyone was like, this is the year, and it didn't happen. This year, they straight up on Twitter, like, big reveal happening at Square Enix conference. Tune in, make sure you see it. I think it's really weird to say, considering they showed a bunch of stuff. I think they showed a bunch of stuff that led to a bunch of nothing, really. I don't understand what the game is at all, and that annoys me.
I feel like I think people are more invested in the story of what it's going to be rather than the actual gameplay at the moment. Like, they want to know who's in it, what the story's going to be, and when it's going to be out.
Cherie said,
and they've got the next 9 months almost 10 months to tell us what the gameplay is going to be and show it off to us.
Cherie said, I feel like they're hiding its true potential. They're being secretive about it. I don't know why they're being secretive about it at all.
Because they've got 10 months to build up.
They don't have 10 months, though. That's when it's releasing. They've got... they want a couple months tops before you want people to start thinking about pre-ordering it. You know? Like 5 months tops. 6 months tops or something like that. So, yeah, sure. They got Captain America. They got a star-studded voice cast, apart from the new guy we introduced to. Hello, Jeff.
I know.
Or whatever.
It looks like Captain America gets killed off at the start.
But he's not killed off at the start. And then we go ahead 5 years, and the world's in ruin. Everyone's living, and then the Avengers are going to team up to stop people. And then they're going to add new areas and new characters. This new DLC.
Yeah.
It's games
because
of service.
They set up West Coast Avengers and they prefer to be on the East Coast. That explains why they're not in Spider-Man.
Maybe. My thing is, games of service, right, in general. So Destiny, Division, whatever else. Those sorts of games. Anthem, sure. They're all player-created characters, and you can tell these ever-growing stories over time. We add new DLC and story and whatever else, because it doesn't affect you who you're playing as, because you're your own character. I just don't understand how this game works if it's a games of service thing with an ever-growing story where people can choose to play certain characters, and then they'll have different lines, and the characters will be different stories, and I'm just very confused. very, very, very confused about how
Why?
Hulk
The
comes
plot's
together.
going to be the same, no matter what
Will it though?
character you are.
You bring Hulk into to a certain level. The Hulk ends up having a big part of that battle. Someone else plays the level. The Hulk's not in it. Then they cut to the next scene. The Hulk's talking about being part of a thing. That's the film.
Yeah, but then you don't get a scene of the Hulk being in the battle.
I don't want that though. I don't want to go into. I don't want to play 4-player co-op with a character and they're like story in the story. They've written the character out.
If it's 4-player co-op, you're all going to have the same story.
But then it'll have all of our characters in it.
Yeah.
But then how's that affect the overarching narrative if you in the main base storyline you play as a certain character and they do an important integral moment, and then they want to bring that moment up later in DLC, they'll have to take account.
I don't think they're going to avoid doing that.
Yeah, you said, but I just feel like there's so many easy problems to run into.
You're just looking for problems that aren't there yet.
No, I'm just saying I walked away very confused because I expected to at least know what sort of game it was, and I don't feel like I even know what game it is. Do I need gameplay? Preferably yes, but did I need it? No. I would have walked away okay with not seeing gameplay if I at least walked away after all those people talking on stage, which there was a total of 4 different people that talked on stage, and after 4 people talking on stage, I still don't know what the fuck the game is. Like, I understand it's a third person action adventure game of some sort, but then they're talking about it as a games of service and stuff, and I'm like, do I just pick my character and I go to do a mission? Is it I'm shooting things, I presume? I'm battling things? Is it an RPG? Like how am I I don't know. I'm very confused. I think having 4 people talk on stage and then having me when the stream ends and then me leaving and going, I don't understand what I'm even fucking looking at here. I don't know what I'm playing or what I'm supposed to be excited about. You know, it's like, imagine if they showed up Spider-Man back in the day and you had no idea what it was. You understood. It's a Spider-Man game. You spin through you fly through the city, you do it, you web people, you understand what it was. I was just very confused by this. So, you know what? After talking about this whole conference, I've decided to move it down my rankings. Because I've realized I don't like it as much as I originally thought I did.
You don't like the Avengers. That's what you're saying.
I'm moving it down. It's officially getting moved down a level. Take that, Avengers. Yeah, you got any last thoughts on Avengers? Let me just clarify.
Yep.
Not hating on it.
Feels like you are.
I'm judging it.
You could have. No, yeah. It would have helped to have a bit more information and sort of, more of a deep dive into how it's going to play, but the story setup has got me intrigued, so I'm definitely going to get it, obviously, when it comes out, so yeah, we'll see. As a game of service games, I don't know. Obviously, it's the first of its kind, I guess, so we'll see how it works.
I feel like I understand Death Stranding more at the moment than this game.
Really?
I know what I'm doing. I'm climbing ladders.
Just can't get the concept of 4 players fighting.
I don't understand if they just came out and they're like, it's a 4-player co-op game. You can play it by yourself.
It's Marvel Heroes, the top-down thing, except you play as different characters. They're 3D now.
That's a good way to not get me hyped for that.
Melee.
Because that game doesn't have very good stories.
Well, they're doing better stories. Hopefully.
I also find it really weird to end on a video where they're like, they set up the core cast.
That was the weirdest cutscene that they choose.
The Ant-Man thing?
No, the Thor Tony Stark
the
scene.
Conversation back and forth. That was weird as well. I thought basically that was weird, and I also thought the Ant-Man thing was weird because they're like, we've got one more thing. We're going to give you something really good now. We're going to cut to this scene. It's just a little back forth. That's it. Okay. And then the last scene they choose to show is a reveal. Like, we literally just learned the cast of this game. We literally just learned the 5 core members of the Avengers team that will take place in this game. And then their ending piece is to tease another character joining at least appearing in the game. I don't know. I thought that was weird. I'm like, am I supposed to be excited about Ant-Man being in the game? Do I play as him or is he just in the game? I don't know what I'm supposed to be. Anyway, I don't know. I really don't know.
I think they'll clearly have some sort of event or something to give us more information sort of give us the roadmap for. Hopefully, they'll give us the roadmap for post-launch.
I hope they release that roadmap first. Tell me all the DLC that's going to be in the game before I even understand what the fuck I'm playing in the game.
Don't know if that's helpful.
Well, yeah. So you got any lasting thoughts for the Square Enix thing?
Nope. Much better than last year. So.
Well, yeah, we can all agree on that. It was
infinitely better than last year.
Infinitely better than last year. That's undoubtable. Really. So, yeah. Thank you for joining us for this Arcade Couch special Square Enix wrap-up thing. I'm sorry if I annoyed you by hating on the Avengers. I understand that everyone's... I haven't checked Twitter yet, so I don't know. You people loving it? People hating it? Don't know. Which side of the gamer discourse do I fall on? Find out soon. You can follow me on Twitter at VivaLadil, VIVALADIL, where you can yell at me. You can follow Ash on Twitter at AshleyHobby, SHLEYHOBLEY, where you can praise him. And you can follow Explosion Network or at Explosion Pod on Twitter as well. And make sure you head on over to explosionnetwork.com/E3 to check out all our E3 coverage, including special episodes, more wrap-up post-discussion episodes for every conference, reacts, watch-alongs to all the conference we've done if you want to see funny things, I guess, and news, so on and so forth. Really cool things all happening. If you're watching this one before Nintendo airs, we will be back at, what time's Nintendo? 2 a.m.? 2:30. 2 a.m., I think.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. We'll be
Yay.
back at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning for the Nintendo Direct E3 thingy bobby as well, of course. So join us at twitch.tv/Explosion Network for that one, or find all these things later at youtube.com/Explosion Network. Until the next one of whatever you join us on, bye.